presence, to be receptive to your unconditional love, to be an open conduit that allows that love to pass into this moment, lifting and transforming me as I express this love unconditionally to each and every one in my presence. As I practice expressing this love, as I allow your love to flow through me, I realize once again who I am. I am the minister of your word. I am. Please repeat with me. I am the minister of your word. I am the minister of your word. Here in this moment, lifting, transforming. And for those in our experience that seem to have a need for the awareness of your love, we hold them in consciousness. We see them embraced, permeated, lifted, transformed. And for the opportunity to be ministers of your word, we give thanks. And so it is that together we say, Amen. Well, tell me a story. We have the opportunity here in our community, two individuals, a poet and a colonel, that are here to share a story with us today. Sharon and Norm Frickey are advocates for veterans and their families, especially the Vietnam veteran. The veteran suicide rate of 22 a day is led by Vietnam veterans. For many, the war does not end when it is declared over or because the soldier comes home. Sharon and Norm share their stories to veterans and service organizations to encourage the telling and writing of authentic stories. They believe stories share who we are, helps others understand where we have been, lets us accept what we have become, and seeds the future as we grow into our next story. Plus, someone almost always says, I needed to hear or I needed to read that. Sharon, a retired high school teacher, a Kristen McAuliffe Fellow, is an artist, poet, and writer. Norm served 42 years in the Army, National Guard, and Reserve with tours in Japan, Vietnam, and Turkey. He retired with the rank of colonel. Norm had also worked 25 years in human resources for the VA. Both Sharon and Norm are distinguished Toastmasters. Together, they are Story Up, and there are flyers for Story Up out on the desk. Today, they will be using a storytelling mode of scripted dialogue. Please welcome Sharon and Norm Frickey.
Not quite so in my face. A little ways out. Yeah. That's good. Thank you. Ready? Tell me a story, tell me a story, tell me a story. Remember what you said. You promised me, you said you would. You gotta give in, so I'll be good. Tell me a story, and then I'll go to bed. Well, I'm Sharon, and it's a good morning to you, and I hope you all slept well. But it's always nice to wake up, so glad we're here. I'm a poet. I'm a wife of a Vietnam veteran, and I have stories to share.
I am the Vietnam veteran, and I drove the poet here today. I am the chauffeur, and I have stories to tell. You know, last Wednesday, we were blessed with having the opportunity to be in the ambiance of a group of 5 and 6-year-olds, soaking up the energy. As our young granddaughter stood on the stage, 60 people there, and welcomed us into her future.
It was a kindergarten celebration, and with inspiration from a children's book. They walked up with a microphone, stood in front of everybody, whacked the whiteboard so their illustrated page would come up and show their story. And then in groups of 4, they read and sang the story to us. The book, A Very Important Day. The kids were authors and artists, and they were reveling in the love of learning, of celebrating, of being with their friends, and that joy of being 5 and 6 years old. They were together at the moment, and nothing else mattered. Now the show ended with their teacher proclaiming, "I am glad to present the class of 2027. Grandpa, you better beef up the exercise program. Our greatest source of the world, our greatest resource of the future are the world's children. The greatest gift we can give them is the opportunity to love and to be loved. That legacy can be complemented with the gift that none of them will ever have to go to war. No son, no daughter, no grandchild will have to do that." Let's flashback to Memorial Day a week ago. We were, the family cemetery at Fairmount. Abby, our 5-year-old, now, 6-year-old, she'd get me for that, granddaughter, loves to go and put the flowers and flags out on the grave. We no sooner got those out than she reached down on her great-grandfather's grave and pulled up the flag, walked over and started twirling and singing and dancing for her great-grandfather, a World War II vet. For Abby, Memorial Day was flags and dancing and singing and love, and that was her celebration. And I thank God that the kids still see our world as something to celebrate.
This is Bear Trooper. He was given to me by Sharon and the girls when I retired. He's a reminder for me, of the children. I take him wherever I go, whenever I'm presenting to veterans, adults, or especially to children, because it's the children who are so important. Children in my lives, my family, and also the children in other lives and other families. Last November 11th, we were invited to go to Abby's kindergarten class. It was supposed to be a special event. I'm going to bring Bear Trooper. Well, this is sort of an exciting time. Abby got wind of it. She wanted to share it with her friends that Bear Trooper was going to go. Her teacher said, "No, we have to keep it a secret. It's only the last portion of our class. We don't want everybody to get excited." Abby, excited? So I made a deal. I said, "Okay, Abby, if you'll keep it a secret, when we come time to tell his story, you can come sit on my lap, you can hold Bear Trooper, and maybe even open his parachute for him." Well, she did. She kept it a secret, and we did a thing. Now, there was a little time there when kids, they're just great. They come out, they have weird questions, and they have some funny questions. They were circling around. One boy had just talked to Sharon, and he walks over to me and says, "How old are you?" 78. Aha, you're older than she is. Well, you have any guns on you? No, no guns. How many bombs? You have any bombs on you? No.
At that time, the poet had to take over. And I did, and I had a poem I had written for Abby's kindergarten class. I'll share it with you. The earth is the biggest playground. Oceans, seas, rivers, deserts, mountains, and prairies make borders for countries to make their own kind of playgrounds. Now, your school has a playground. Fences and sidewalks and streets make a border for your school. You come out and see the snow on the mountains when you go out on the playground. You hear a friend call out, "Come on, let's run, let's play." Oh, you breathe in the cold air and you exhale steam into the air. You smell the wood chips wet under your feet, and you even stick out your tongue and try to taste the snowflakes coming down. Now, you and your friend have your favorite place. You go there, but someone else is there. But that's your place. Don't they know that in your mind, that's your place? You feel sad. But then, one of the interlopers moves over and pats your place and says, "Come on." Smiles and good feelings. You feel safe and at peace. Now, sometimes people from other countries move into another country's place. Sometimes there's an argument over a border or a promise forgotten. Sometimes people just want what other people have, or they want them to believe what they believe. Then sometimes moms, dads, sisters, and brothers, people you know, have to put on a uniform and go and help bring back peace. These people who have done that are called veterans. And today, back then, was Veterans Day, a day to be glad that families are together on earth, the biggest playground of all. As summer approaches, playgrounds fill up with families and picnics, reunions, softball games, but the campgrounds in Colorado also fill up too. We bought our first tent when Norm came back from Vietnam, and we camped all through the Catoctin Mountains in Maryland, and then with campgrounds in Turkey and all over Greece. When we came back to Colorado, we still camped. It was Memorial Day, 1973. We were on the Grand Mesa, just, up from Grand Junction, and we had our 4 daughters with our youngest, 9 months, our getting out of the Army celebration baby. And we had gone through 3 days of rain, ice, and snow. So that's nothing new, folks. We did it too. Let's fast forward, Norm.
35 years. We've traded our tent for our Airstream motorhome. We're up near Gypsum, Colorado. It's a beautiful sunshiny day, much like, it's sort of sunshiny out there, but anyway. And I was sitting there outside the motorhome, sort of being me, the colonel, sipping my coffee, looking at the beautiful mountain and the river. It was just wonderful. Sharon was cooking breakfast, when all of a sudden, over the hill, whoof, 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 an Army Huey helicopter came right at us. In the blink of an eye, it was 1968, and I was back in Vietnam. And I was sitting on an ammo crate, sipping my coffee from a tin cup. On my arm, there was a mosquito stuck in the muck, stuff you put on there. And I look at this mosquito, and I think, bud, you can't get out of there, neither can I. Sorry about that. But I think that really could have been me. I look around, and whop, 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 there's helicopters everywhere down the hill. Soldiers are loading in Hueys and heading out. Off in the distance, there's a big Chinook with a howitzer underneath it heading off to the Ashaw Valley. Then there's the dust-off, the medevacs landing by the evac hospital, unloading their cargo. Some were walking, some were on litters, and some were in black body bags. And I smelled something. Could that be bacon, eggs, burnt toast? Ah, it's coming from the mess tent. Something being brewed up, and all of a sudden the wind shifts and the dust is there, and I have a dusty coffee cup. But I took another sip of it, and it's not too bad. This is not too bad. And then I looked down, and our detail is pulling 55-gallon drums cut off out from underneath our two-holer. And poof, they light up. Diesel fuel, human waste. It drifts my way. The smell of human waste, burnt toast, eggs, bacon. Welcome to my world. Well, the sergeants are out taking head count. We had a pretty rough night. We'd had an attack the night before. Make sure everybody's accounted for. Well, the sappers had gotten into the brigade headquarters, and there was a firefight, but thank goodness there was an assistant to the chaplain who grabbed the machine gun and went, and he ran some of them off the runway so they didn't get to our area. And I looked around, and I felt pretty good because we didn't have it. Well, we actually had one casualty. You see, Tiny, Sergeant Tiny, he wasn't really very tiny. He was just all lathered up, standing ready to take the shower in an improvised shower, when all of a sudden, incoming! And he ran naked across the company area and into the bunker. Whoom. Well, sun, soap, morning, he can't get out. So there are men widening the opening so poor Tiny can finally extricate himself from this particular area. You know, and the first sergeant comes up to me and he says, "Sir, we're going to have to give him a special award." Pardon me, Sergeant? Yeah, it's a WWHA award. WWHA? Yeah, wounded while hauling ass. Oh, no, it's not, no, Sergeant. No, that's okay. Well, anyway, so I got up, took my helmet, walked over to the boiling water, dipped it full of water, and was going to go wash some of the crud off and get ready for breakfast. At the same time, the first sergeant is banging the metal, saying, "Bang, bang, bang, come on, grubs on, grubs on." It keeps getting louder and louder and louder and louder.
And I say, "Norm, is your hearing so bad you can't hear me banging on the skillet?"
Well, I'm back in gypsum. Here I am. Now, you know, from time to time, I do visit Vietnam in my memories. I can remember the times that were there. They're not pleasant times. I can remember what we did to the country, the defoliation. I remember the death and the destruction. But mostly, I remember the children. There were children everywhere, playing out in the fields, sometimes sitting alongside the road, sometimes scrounging in our garbage. But they were also being trained as spies. Some of the children were tasked to draw our camp. Some children were being trained to put sand or dirt in our gas tanks when we weren't watching the vehicle. Or even put a hand grenade with a rubber band around it, stick it in there, so when the hand grenade when the rubber band would disintegrate, the hand grenade would go off. Children as warriors? Well, you know, I have these memories, and I've gotten over them, but there's some who have not. And for some who saw it worse, who saw houses burned, people, women, children, horses killed, and even worse, a buddy killed. Sometimes those memories come back at a flash. Without warning, a sign, a sound, a name on a wall will trigger something, an event, and it will actually be stronger than the other event.
I learned that you can take the soldier out of the war, but you can't take war out of the soldier. And when they come home, they're never the same. And the families are never the same. They have memories of loss or loneliness, sometimes feeling that they've been deserted, and sometimes the families don't stay together.
Well, come with me to 1968, Fort Bragg, North Carolina, home of the famed 82nd Airborne Division. I'm the commanding officer of an elite airborne intelligence company. We train, ready to go at a minute's notice anywhere in the world to save whatever has to be saved, but mostly training. Well, dark 30, Valentine's Day 1968, I get a call. All the commanders are summoned to the brigade headquarters. A very stoic colonel comes out and says, "All right, listen up, this is it. You've all heard about TET? Well, we're gonna go do something about that. This is going to be a 72-hour quick reaction load up. 90 days TDY, get 90 days supply, that 90 days of ammunition. Wheels up in 72 hours. Got it? Airborne, sir." It was then that I realized what Commander was all about, taking men into an area where they might get killed. Well, everybody went into overdrive. 72 hours is not much time. Didn't have much time. Went home, get a little sleep every now and then, grabbed a bite of our oldest daughter's birthday cake. 72 hours, wheels up, and we were gone, off to war.
I kept my job as a researcher. I worked for a field office of American University that supported the John F. Kennedy Center for Special Warfare. Our office was on Smoke Bomb Hill, only a few minutes from our home on base. I'd go in and go over to the 4th Psychological Operations Unit, and high tech, I would read the incoming off the teletype and flag those things that I could send back to DC where our researchers would look up. It was one way that I could stay connected with Norm and his unit. And daily life went on. Without his morning reveille, I had a 5:30 wake-up call. Lee 11, Lynn 9, and Annie 7 would get up. We'd get on our yoga leotards and sit in a circle in the living room, and I'd say, "Okay, girls, close your eyes, don't go back to sleep. Inhale, exhale. See your dad. He's wearing his uniform. He's got his hat on. His boots are shined. He's standing out on the lawn. Let's go out around him. Is he bending down? Well, kiss his cheek. Is Dad laughing? Are we laughing? Now, when you miss him, put that picture in your head. No one can promise a safe return. And it's not fair to the kids to do that. But many of us know that jolt of unexpectedly losing a loved one. And I knew that regardless of the outcome, we would have that memory to hold on to. Then one night in early May, we got settled in for bed, and the phone rang. I picked it up, and I heard Norm's voice.
"Hey, come pick me up."
"What do you mean, come pick you up? Where are you? You've got 3 more weeks in Vietnam."
I'm down at Pope. Don't worry about it. Just come down and pick me up. I'll explain later.
Well, God, I can't even remember how to get there, Norm.
Well, that's okay. I see a cab. I'll just grab this base cab and be home pretty soon.
The girls went ballistic. They stood in front of the screen door, jumping up and yelling, "Dad's coming home, Dad's coming home." It took the cab about 10 minutes to get there. We spilled out. Shammy, our poodle, and her pups went with us. They were circling Norm, barking. Porch lights went on. Pretty soon the neighbors came out, and he was home. And he was wearing his hat and his fatigues, and his boots were shined. And he did bend down, and the girls did kiss him. I'd always believed in the power of meditation and visualization. But for me, from that time on, I believed that we could seed our future. We decided that the 2 weeks home, instead of me quitting my job and packing and moving, we would take that 2 weeks and make it the 2 weeks he didn't have before he left for Vietnam, prime family time. Well, it wasn't too long until he was deployed again. And that was hard. It was hard on the girls, it was hard on him, and it was hard on me. But we had something that we could hang on and that we believed. And the girls kept me busy. Well, fast forward, school's out, we've moved back to Denver, and the girls and I still do our meditation, but we do it at the nighttime, and we get together on the sofa bed, and we envision Norm sitting among us reading bedtime stories, and then the girls would go and get in their bunk beds, kind of crowded in the basement bedroom, and they'd listen to stories that he had recorded on the reel-to-reel tape.
Well, fast forward February 69. My tour was over. I was looking out of the window of the chartered Braniff airliner, the beautiful California coastline coming in, and I'm thinking, whew, after 1 year, as close to hell as I ever want to be, I'm almost home. The ironic part about this was, for the 18-hour trip from Saigon, we had these cute little stewardesses with their short skirts. And they up and down the aisle, and all these men had not seen a woman in a number of years. But you know what? They were as cold to us as Sharon's feet on a winter night. Then from the front of the plane I heard, "She spoke to me, she spoke to me." From the back, "What did she say?" "Shut up, sit down, and buckle up." Oh, I guess we were landing. Well, we did land at Travis Air Force Base. I got off, grabbed my duffel, and I was heading out, and one of the aviation warrants that was on the plane said, "Hey, Major, we're headed to San Francisco International Airport. You want to share a taxi?" Wow, why not? You know, split the cost, jump in with these maniacs. And we had no sooner started, and one of the warrant officers leaned over and said, "How long does it usually take to get there?" "Oh, about an hour and a half." $50 is yours if you can get us there in half the time. And we were off. I grabbed the handle and I said, bleep, bleep, bleep. I got through Vietnam and I'm going to die in this bleeping taxi cab here in San Francisco. Well, needless to say, we made it. And there was our unwelcoming committee, a group of protesters standing, and I'll never forget this one woman standing holding a baby doll painted with something red, yelling, "Baby killer, baby killer, baby killer." I was no baby killer. Well, inside the terminal, it wasn't any better. Unlike today, no handshakes. Everybody turned their back. No eye contact. I was happy to be by myself and sit alone coming in. But I'll tell you what, the Rocky Mountains never looked better had we landed at the old Stapleton Airport, and I looked out. And when I got to the gate, Sharon and the girls were there to greet me. Hugs were never sweeter. Kisses were never sweeter.
I get so caught up in the story, I forget I'm part of it.
You are part.
Thanks. Still keeps me. I wrote a poem for Norm about his coming home, and some of you, if you went to Trinity's affair here, heard it, but I'd like to read it again. It's called The Brass Bed. A wrong turn into a Broadway antique roll back alley. Temptation leans against a shop's back door, a sleigh of a bed, blackened after years in someone else's shed. It's mine for $50. And I lug it into Dad's garage where it waits against the wall. I slip out of the sofa bed into your old robe, The girls' heads are pillowed, no mirror dreams that night. The garage is February's deep freeze. I lean against the cold, curved foot of the bed and reread your latest letter, and I pray it's not your last. It's just days before you leave to come home, so close, so far away, with death still hanging in the air. I will us into that bed. I will myself content to feel your warmth beside me, your thundering snore rippling along my lifeline, pulling me in. Tan Son Nhut Air Base, a targeted airfield in '68 as you landed in country. Now, out of country, a chartered plane flight, a chance to wing our life back together. You make a California unwelcome home landing, then you make it home to us. Life's now crowded, overflowing in the in-laws' basement apartment. We recenter our universe. The bed awakes. From dream into metaphor, it gives itself up for therapy. Brasso, dug up from the bottom of your duffel, smeared on sheep's wool pads, fumes the garage and settles into the hollows of your old fatigues until I prop the door open. The sound of the drill, unsoftened, close. It feels good on your ears. It pushes back the whop, whop, whop of helicopter blades until no more blackened metal remains. The wartime drama, dark, tarnished, gives way to shining brass. Daylight until nightfall, 3 days from black to bright, the spinning, spiraling, sweet reflection of resurrection says, welcome home.
Love of children, love of family show up in unexpected places. On the Vietnam Wall in D.C., a Vietnam veteran taped a picture of an NVA soldier, and below it a letter. The letter read, "Dear Sir, I was only 18 years old that day we faced one another on the trail in Chu Lai, Vietnam. Why you didn't take my life, I will never know. You stared at me for so long with your AK-47, yet you did not fire. Forgive me for taking your life. I reacted just the way I was trained to kill, VC. So many times over the years I've stared at your picture and at your daughter, and each time my heart and guts burn with pain and guilt. You see, I have 2 daughters of my own now. I perceive you as a brave soldier defending his homeland. Above all, I can only respect the importance that life held for you. I suppose that's why I am able to be here today." Well, you know, for years and years, like other Vietnam vets, I struggled with, did we make a difference? I really wondered, did we make a difference? 40 years. One afternoon, walking out of Denny's, there parked beside my car was this big SUV with the shiny chrome wheels. A man was buckling his child into the seat. He turned, muscular arms, he looked at me, he looked at my Vietnam veteran's license plate, then he looked back at me and he said, "Did you fight in Vietnam?" "Yes." "Thank you very much. I'm a Cambodian. If it hadn't been for you, my son and I would not be here today." With that, he got in his SUV and he drove away. I thought, you know, he must have been a child when I was there. I did get my answer. It was, if you go and you fight with honor and you respect that which can be respected, all will be well.
Our best legacy for the class of 2027 and our children and grandchildren is one of love. to live in a world where they don't have to go to war. This benediction is written for you and the children. Moonchild and earthshine. If you walk with the child, the moon will follow like a balloon on a string. What if, on a day of new moon, of new beginnings, when the moon rises as the sun rises, when the moon child holds hands with the sun to skip across the sky, when the moon sets with the sun together and they rest at the end of the day? Or what if in the dark night of New Moon's Eve, you chose an earthly, heroic journey? Maybe learn to do a child's stop time thing. You'll leave Earth with nothing but a smartphone for a selfie and come back with something so simple, an idea bubbling out of the quantum soup, offering the whole human race a window to peek into and wink at its own soul. What would you do? Imagine, John left us a legacy of that. Imagine a soft Colorado night sky on New Moon's Eve, brushed with the eyelash of the moon going dark. Now come, fly with me, lift up, open your angel heart, let loose your moon child, unfold your wings, will yourself up, rise above the diamond necklace cities below, up, up, up above the satellites. Not to worry. Imaginations don't go orbit unless commanded. Now look, that mysterious faint glow etched on the moon, it's earthshine. Earth's pale reflection that we see, Gaia, Mother Earth, Moonchild, all celebrate our laughter as we see ourselves reflected in the light of each being. As darkness falls away, the shared stardust of our joy brings us together and lets us be. And lets it be. Lets us be. Thank you, Father, Mother, God. As the earth and its children are blessed, so are we. And so it is. So it is.
And we'll have our meditation now. As we come into our meditation, let's come in with I cast all my cares. I cast all my cares on you, God. I cast all my cares on you, and lay all my burdens in your presence. I cast all my cares on you, oh God. I cast all my cares on you, God. I cast all my cares on you. And even when I'm not sure what I should do, I cast all my cares on you, oh God. As we rest in this moment, as we acknowledge that this moment is the culmination of so many moments before in our lives and in other lives, and we recognize that where we are today arises because of where we have been collectively, as a community, as a society, as a species. Here in this moment, realizing that we are on the cusp of the realization of God in each moment, we give thanks. We give thanks for all of our forebears, our ancestors, our friends, those we work with, those we live near. Indeed, every aspect of this world, we give thanks. Recognizing God is present in each relationship, in each activity, in each life, we give thanks. Let us rest in that gratitude. And as we come back into this time and space, let us come back sharing the words of the Lord's Prayer.
Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.
And we'll take an offering for unity now. As we take our offerings in our hands, let us bless them with this offering statement. Together, please. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love because I trust in God. And once again, Trinity Damask and irreverence.